Hello, I'm Stephen Nisbet and I'd like to talk to you about organ stops, their names and the sounds that they make. When you go from one organ to another, you realise that all organs are different. However, there is a consistency in which the stop names have been allocated, and it's a good system, and when you know the system then you can predict what sort of a sound a stop will make when you pull it out. So let's start with the four basic groups or families of sounds. The first one is the principal or diapason sound. The second is the flute sound. The third is the string sound. And the fourth one is the reed sound. So let me go to the first one, the principal or diapason sound. This is the characteristic organ sound. I'll demonstrate on this Allen digital organ what the principal family sounds like. Here's an 8-foot principal stop. Add another stop in this family and make it a bit brighter. And another one, make it brighter still. That's the principal sound, and it's the characteristic organ sound. When you hear that, you say that's an organ. Now the second group is the flutes, so I'll play some fluty sounds on the organ here. Make it a bit brighter with another one in the same family. Or even brighter still. So that's the flute sound, and it's designed to imitate the orchestral flute and the piccolo, other orchestral instruments. Now the third sound is the strings, and they are designed to sound like orchestral strings, the violins and cellos, etc. So let's have a listen to the strings on this organ. Quite a gentle sound. Now the fourth category are the reeds, and the reeds are different from these other three because the sound is made not just by air vibrating in a column of a pipe, but by a brass reed vibrating at the bottom of the pipe. So let's hear some of the reeds that are on this organ. This one's supposed to sound like a clarinet. This one's an oboe. This one's a trumpet, imitating a trumpet. Here's another trumpet on the grate. So that's the reed sound. The sound is made by a brass reed vibrating in the bottom of the pipe. When we hear all these sounds, it means that you can predict what sort of a sound you'll get when you draw a stop or press down a tab, as on this particular organ. So just going back over them again, the principal sound, flute sound, then there's the strings, and then there's the reeds. Now the other thing you'll notice when you look at these organ stops is that they've got numbers beside them. When I have the principal 8 stop drawn, then it means that the pitch will be the same pitch that you would get if you were playing a piano. So here's the principal 8. That's the same pitch as if I would have on a piano. It's called an 8-foot stop because the bottom note in the rank is approximately 8 foot long in length. The metal pipe would be 8 foot long. Go up an octave and it's 4 foot long. Go up an octave and it's half the length again, etc. So when we add the 4 foot, we're getting another rank of pipes where the longest pipe is 4 foot long. So we have these numbers beside it, 8, 4, we can have 2 as well. That's what you heard with the flutes. And you can also have a 16. That's an octave lower. So we have numbers like 2, 4, 8, 16. They're all powers of 2. But not all of the numbers beside the pipe stop names are powers of 2. Some of them are different numbers like 2 2/3 or 1 3/5. This means that they don't sound on the octave, but they sound in the intervals between, like fifths and thirds. Now this gives an interesting effect, and it can be useful for filling out a sound in a chorus, or it can be used for a lovely effect with a solo. For instance, if I have a flute 8 and 4 together, I could add a mutation. This is the Nazard 2 2/3. All the tierce can be added as well. So we can get very interesting melody lines by using the mutation stops. The other thing that you'll notice about some of these stops is that they've got Roman numerals. For instance, here, this stop here is labelled mixture Roman 4. That means that for every note that you play, there are 4 pipes sounding, and they are usually pipes that are short in length, so they give a very bright sound, and sometimes they're octaves, sometimes they might be mutations as well. So let's go back to the principal sound. Let's add the mixture and you'll hear this brightness on top. The same thing happens if I go to the swell, the top manual here. If I add the 4/8 mixture, it's called plein jeu, which is a French organ stop name. They're called the mixtures. The other stops that you'll notice on the organ are called couplers, and the couplers are used to connect various divisions of the organ together. So if I put on the swell to great, it means that anything that is on the swell will be connected to the great. So if I had that nice sound of the flutes and the plein jeu, this sound on the great, without it coupled, it sounds like this. I put on the coupler, so we're getting the stops that are drawn for the swell playing at the same time as the stops that are drawn for the great. I can also connect the pedals to the manuals as well. So over here I've got a swell to pedal, a great to pedal, and positive to pedal. And without the coupler, let's just have a listen to this. If I now put the great to pedal, you'll hear the sound of the grate coming through as well. So we can couple between manuals, and we couple between the pedals and the manuals. We have two other stops that are here, or it's one stop but it's represented on both the manuals, and it's called the tremulant. And let me just demonstrate that lovely sound we had before. If I add the tremulant, then on the organ what happens is that the volume of air and the pressure of the air gets varied, so we get a vibrato or tremolo effect. So that can be quite a sweet sound. So here we have the organ stops. We've got 4 families of stops: the principals, we've got the flutes, we've got the strings, and we've got various reeds. We've got the couplers and we've got the tremolo. So